Hi everyone, in this video I am going to explain the basic structure of C programming language. So let us move on to topic. So for writing a basic programming in your C, you have to know what is the structure it follows. Like what after what comes in your program, you have to know. So this is a basic structure of C programming. It consisting of 6 parts. So this is your first section, which is said to be a documentation section, and this is your second section is a link section, and this is definition section, and this one is a global declaration section or a function declaration section. And in this section we are going to give your main function, and after that in last section you have to give your subprogramming section. So some of these sections are mandatory in your program. You must use those sections, and some of them are not mandatory. It depends on your requirement. You have to use those sections in your program. So let us move on the discussion on this particular basic structure of C. So now coming to our first section is a documentation section. So which is suggested for every programmer, because it will give the basic information about the program, like for what purpose you wrote your program and who will wrote that particular program and everything. It gives an information. So in second section is a link section, third one is a definition, and fourth one is a global variable declaration, and fifth is main function, and last one is a subprogramming section. So I'll explain in brief about each and every section of this basic structure. So the first section is a documentation section. So in this section we have to declare the comments, right? So that comment, it may be of the name of the programmer who wrote that particular program, or who trying to write that particular program, and that may be of the program name, or else a particular line what it will do. So you can give a description about your program also by using this comment lines in your documentation section. So in your C program you can write your comments at anywhere. So you can write at first line, or you can write in middle of your editor, or you can write at the end of anywhere you can write your comments. So this documentation section which helps anyone to get an overview of the program. So what's happening inside of your program. Suppose if you are trying to declare some variables, you can give a comment like this is a declaration of variable, or else you can implement some logic in your program. You can give like this is a for loop, it can run for 100 iterations, like that. You can give some information about your program by using this commenting section. So in C programming language, so there are two types of comments available. So the first type is a single line comment, and the second one is a multiple line comment. So as a name suggests, the single line comments are written in a one line. So you can write all the comments in a single line, then those comments will comes under the category of single line comment. So now they can start with 2 slashes. See here, this is a backslash. So you can use 2 backslashes, so which indicates you are trying to write a comment, right? So and always the single line comments, it can start with backslashes, 2 backslashes, and ends with a dot. So we can also set this dot as a period in C programming terminology. So now coming to a multiple comments. So this type of comments are used to write comments in more than one line. So the single line is not enough to write your comments, so you can extend your comments in a multiple lines. So those comments are said to be multiple line comments. So these comments are start with backslash with asterisk symbol, that is simply a star symbol, and ends with asterisk and backslash. So always remember, when you start your multiple line comment, you must close that multiple line comments, otherwise your compiler will recognize even your program is also a comment, right? So take care of writing a multiple comments. So when coming to a single line comment, even you are not given a dot symbol at the end of the line, so it is terminated automatically, that line ends. So that is not a problem. But when work with a multiple line comments, you have to take care. So this is an example for giving a multiple line comments. So here see, I'm using backslash with asterisk symbol, and you can write anything that may be your name or the program name or what you are going to do in your program. You have to give a description. You can write anything in your comment section. And remember, these comment lines are not executed in your program. So these are simply for your guidance, like your documentation. Right? Suppose if you wrote some program and that you are given to some other person, so who is not aware of that logic. So simply you can give a comments about your program, then that user can see, and that comments will guide that person to understand that particular program. So now these comments are help in C programming for better understanding of your program. So this is about the commenting section. So this is not a mandatory. If you are interested, then you can write the comments in your program. Otherwise, you can leave, right? And the second section is a link section. So in this link section, it will consisting all your header files or the functions that are used in your program. So because we are the human and we are not make your computer to operate directly, like for performing some reading and writing operations, or else you can manipulate some of the things in your program. So every time you are not make a logic to do that. So what simply we are doing means we have some predefined functions is available for any programming. So those are available in your header files. So just you can include those header files in your program. So those things will be take care of by your compiler itself. So we don't bother about that. So now the header files is having an extension of .h. So we have many header files available in your C programming, like string.h, stdio.h, conio.h, time.h, processor.h, and then like stdlib.h, math.h, float.h. Like we have many of header files is available. And those header files will consisting of the predefined functions. So whenever we want to use those functions, we can use directly in your program without giving any logic to implement those functions. So it provides the instructions to the compiler to link the functions from the system library. So I already said everything is available in your system library. So such as using a hash include directive. So how we can include these header files to your program? So simply you are linking these header files by using hash include directive. So this is said to be a preprocessor also. So simply you can use this header file like this. See hash include. So in an angular basis. So like in a symbols of less than and greater than combination, you can give your header file. And you cannot give all the header files which is available in your system library. Depends on your requirement. You have to include that header file in your program. Suppose for every program we are trying to read something from your keyboard and you are trying to write something to your monitor. So simply we are going to use printf and scanf statements in your C programming for taking an input from the keyboard as well as it displaying something on your screen. So for that purpose we need to use stdio.h. So that is a standard input output header file. So which is having the capability to perform all your input operations with your standard devices. Okay, so these are examples how we are linking your header files to your C program. And then the next section is a definition section. So what this definition section will do is, so in your program you are going to use some symbolic constants. Suppose for example, if I am trying to use pi symbol, because I want to find the area of a circle. So now it is pi r square. So I didn't find pi symbol on my keyboard. So you can observe your keyboard. It doesn't having any special symbols is available for you, like a pi and everything. So and then this symbolic constant will be the same. You can take that value at any place. The value is same. Suppose if you want to take some root value, square root of some value, so which is same at anywhere. So now such type of symbolic constant you can define in this section. right? So in definition section, all your symbolic constants are written in this section, and macros are known as a symbolic constant. Simply, if I am using a preprocessor, hash define. See, for including your header files, you can use hash include, and for declaring or for defining a constants or constants or symbolic constants, we can simply use hash define as a preprocessor. Now I didn't have any pi symbol, simply I can use pi, and then with a gap I can provide my pi value, that is 3.14. So you can go at any place. Suppose if I am at Vishakhapatnam, I can take my pi value. Here it is 3.14. Now I am moving to Vijayawada. Again I am checking for pi value. There also the pi value is same. So such type of symbolic constants can define in this section. And now the next section is a global variable declaration section. So sometimes I need to use some variables throughout my program. So this global variable declaration is nothing but, so what are the things you want to extend throughout your program? So then those things you can put in this section. So we have a scope of variable. Suppose if I am in a particular room, so now I want to access the accessories in that room. So I can access the accessories which is available in that room only. I cannot access outside of that room. So that is said to be a local variable. So when you declare any variable inside of any function, or it may be of your main function, and those variables can be available in that function. We cannot access outside. But when you declare something in this global variable declaration part, you can access throughout your program. So you can access anywhere in your program. Such type of situations is there. Then you are going to use this global variable declaration section. So see, the variables declared outside of your main function are said to be a global variables. So simply we can declare the things before your main function. So then it is said to be a global variables. So the variables that can be used anywhere in the program, and this section also declares the user defined functions. So later you are discussing about the subfunctions. So that is the subprograms. In this last section of this basic structure of C programming, so there I said what do you mean by that user defined functions. So before I am going to define that, I need to declare at this section. Okay, so simply these are some examples how we can define your global variable and the function declaration. So simply we can use data type. So this is your data type, and then this is your variable name, and here come to this is a function, right, and here our function name is sum. So it taking 2 arguments. So such type of things we can declare in this global variable declaration section. And now coming to our next part is your main function section. So it is necessary to have at least one main function in your C program, because remember your C compiler is always starts execution from the main function. So without main function your C program is not executed, right? You have to write. So this section will contains 2 parts. One is a declaration part and the second one is executable part. So what your declaration part will say is, so it will say all the variables that are used in your executable part. So whatever you are going to use at a logical implementation part, suppose if I am trying to add 2 numbers, so my operation is A plus B. So then only I can add 2 numbers, right? So now in that I am using A and B. So before I am going to use as a statement A plus B, I need to declare A and B in my declaration section. So that's what the meaning of this. And these 2 parts, it must be written in between the open and close braces. Like we have a flower braces is available on your keyboard. So you can use that open and close brace. Then you can declare your declaration part as well as your executable part. So each statement in your C programming, it must terminated with a semicolon, right? After end of each and every line, you can put semicolon as the end. The execution of this program is starting at the opening brace and ending at the closing brace. So then declaration and executable parts. So this is an example. Okay, see here it is my main function. So here in this I am trying to find the area of a circle. So for that I am asking the user enter the radius. So I am reading, and after that simply I am using my logic. See, this is a declaration part, because here I declare R. Okay, here I declare R, which I am going to use in this line. So before I am using this line, I just declare my variable here. And this is your calculation part, because you are doing the calculation here. And this is your function calling. See here, I am calling my function. Okay, now coming to a subprogramming section. So this is not a mandatory. So whenever you want to write some user-defined functions to perform a specific task. Suppose if I want to calculate the area of a circle. So now I want to write a user-defined function. So which can perform only it's finding the circle area. It cannot do more than that. Okay. So whenever we required any functions in your program that can be defined by the user, then only this section is going to use. So the subprogramming section, it contains all the user defined functions that are used to perform a specific task, and these user defined functions are called in your main function. So you must call, right? See here, this is my subfunction name message, right? So now I am calling this in your main function. So otherwise that subfunction is not recognized, because I already said your C compiler is always starts execution from your main function. So whatever it will be available in your program, so it can link in from this main section only, right? Because of that reason here I am calling this message function. So that is the meaning of that. So this is a basic structure of C programming. You have to follow, means this order. Suppose if you want to write your comments, you can write anywhere in your program. At each and every line you can describe like this. See here. So these are the single line comments, right? So that's why these are starts with double backslash. So here see, in this line they wrote some comment. In this line they wrote some comment. You can write anywhere this comment lines. And coming to the next part, before you are going to write your main function, you have to include your header file. If you need, you can declare your global variables. If you need, you can define some constants. Right? So these two things you must do before your main function, and after that it cannot recognized. Right? And now coming to a function definition, you can write anywhere. So you can define your user defined function before your main function or after your main function. So both are acceptable, because even you wrote anywhere, your compiler starts execution from the main function. Whenever it finding the calling of a function, then only it is try to link your sub function. Otherwise it means C also. Okay. So this is about a basic structure of C programming. Okay, simply you can follow this. So first section will consist in documentation, then link section, then definition. So you don't jumble this order. We cannot jumble, like we can write main function first and after that you can write your link section. No, it is not a correct way. So you can follow these things. If you have, then you must follow. See, these are the optionals. See, I already said, whenever you want to define a constant, then only you can use this section. Whenever you can use the global variables, then only you can use this section. Whenever you have your subfunctions, then only you can use these functions. Otherwise, this is not mandatory. But this part is mandatory. Your main function is mandatory. And this link section is mandatory. And now this is suggested, because if you are interested, then you can write the comments for your program. Thank you.